I do not. I don't think so.
Steve, you have nothing on you.
I have nothing. Can I make a motion to move my entire agenda?
Yeah. Done.
There's a couple I'm going to tag on to on some grants.
We've got our roller. It hadn't made it through the deal yet. Steve's going to help. Will you help with it some? Maybe not. Probably not.
What is this ARPA BJCC amendment one? Altered language. I hadn't, obviously.
That would be.
It is. It's not adding money or anything. It's just adding some language that clarifies when you advance somebody money, you have to be certain rules. So we just want to put that language back in the agreement to cover our file if we get audited. It's not changing money or anything. It's just compliance issues. Is that clear as mud, Commissioner?
Commissioner, that's the same thing that we did with PDD last week. It's a compliance issue. Just to clean up some of the language regarding advance payments.
All right. Y'all ready to go ahead and get started? It's getting to be a little after. Maybe. There's Michael. How far is she out? All right, we're going to go ahead and go. And get everything done that we can get done. Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank these people assembled here this beautiful Tuesday morning. Dear Lord, as we are about to partake in this business, we ask that you give us the strength, the wisdom, the courage, and the guidance to do the right things. Dear Lord, ask you to keep us in good health so we may perform the task before us. Dear Lord, those that are sick and infirm, please be with them and touch them with your healing hands. Dear Lord, the weather that we have coming in tonight, dear Lord, please temper it with your great power so that we will have no damage and no injuries. Dear Lord, we ask you to keep us, guide us, and protect us. Ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's begin with Steve.
Could I get a motion to move my
I move your agenda.
Thank you.
I have a question on one of your items.
Which one? No items submitted, no items submitted, or no items submitted?
The second, no items.
Okay.
All right, Joe, you want to do yours?
Good. Finance, Ms. Dixon,
Move items 1 through 6.
have a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Budget management, have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, budget agenda. The information only adds me and make funds that revenue to the EMA.
Move the item.
Have a motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Board of registrars are making a precinct change, 5520 to Vestavia Civic Center.
I'll move it.
Have a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Developmental Services, B220008. A liquor application.
I move to the agenda.
Have a motion to move to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
General Services, Bronco Incorporated, 2121 Rehab, Phase 4 Parking Deck Repairs. $4,173,000. Have a motion. Aye. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Tax assessor, salary adjustment, appoint administrative clerk. Is that within their budget, or does anybody know?
gone backwards.
Tax assessor, are you online?
I moved to the agenda, say, probably didn't get the 8 o'clock deal.
Have a motion to move to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And have a Glenwood Fire District grant for $50,000 for the SCBA's.
Move the item.
Breathing devices when they go into fire. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That concludes my report.
All right. It's like we're going to roads and transportation infrastructure. We have 9 items to roads. Any questions on any of those?
I move 1 through 9.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Be great. Thank you very much. County attorney has,
1 through 8.
Second.
all in favor say aye. We have our film partnership and update on the investment committee and ARPA BJCC Amendment 1, 2, and 3 out of county manager.
I move 1, 2, 3.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Move your community grants.
I have 1, 2, 3 community grants. I also have one item of new business that came down from, that's related to a community grant. It's an infrastructure, so in addition to item 1 through 3, I need a unanimous consent for one item of new business, which is the paving of a parking lot for the McCalla Fire Department. Our paving crews are in the area, in the vicinity, and it's better on them to go ahead and do that instead of having to come back later on. Did I say that right? Yeah.
All you move for unanimous consent for immediate consideration of one item.
Have a meeting. All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider that one item. Add that to our list. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So that's 4 grants. And now, County Manager Market has an item.
Yes, sir. Y'all know Talca County had some damage. Commissioner Knight, Jim Coker, been working with them. They've asked us for some help, and we have a mutual aid intergovernmental agreement with Talca County in the system, ready to go. If we could, if y'all choose to add that to new business, then we can work, help them with some emergency cleanup and get reimbursed through FEMA.
Motion to consider item of new business.
I have a question.
Well,
I will second.
let's get on the table, then you can ask a question. To consider it, I think.
All right, we have one item of new business, considering the Talca County storm cleanup. Everyone vote in the affirmative on that? Aye. All right, so we're considering that item of new business. It's on the table. What you need?
Okay, so this county, how far is this county from?
It's in Prattville.
It's in Prattville.
Or
So,
Prattville North.
okay, so have we considered having, Dallas County?
Dallas is, there's a lot of response in Dallas. Talca has a 30-mile swath, and we're going to go down and help just do the bridge. But yeah, we consider it.
Well, I talked to one of the commissioners down there. Let me give you this because he texted me.
Okay.
And he asked for some help. Now, I just want, I ain't
I mean,
trying
that's
to,
fine if they need
I
that.
know, I ain't trying to start it.
Well, doesn't that normally go through from EMA to EMA?
Yeah.
We'll get their MA director to.
Okay, cause it's, Selma City Council, Young, and, the county commission is Judge Nunn, Jimmy Nunn.
Okay.
So I got this is a text from them, so, and I can give you what they want help with, okay? So, with a full understanding of me voting on this, okay?
Very good.
You wanna just amend it to where it needs?
Well, it'll just be a separate,
Separate.
there'll be another item.
Item coming up. Yeah, that's fine.
I move the item.
All right, move the item. Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're good.
So we got Dallas County and Otago County. If Dallas County,
If they, yeah, if they hadn't got, I would've got what he called me.
okay,
What do they need, did he say?
There was so much noise in the background, because it was the day after I sent the 1821 money. We sent, some supplies down there with the organization that I work with that's in, out of town. So that organization actually, partnered with me and sent a trailer down there. So it was some more things that they needed. And, I have not talked to him. I talked to him Sunday. So I need to go back
Get
and
back
talk.
with them and see what they need, we'll bring up Thursday.
Okay.
Your agenda.
All right. And I apologize for being late, but you can thank the CXX, North Southern Railroad for blocking the track and made me have to go about 15 miles before I can get over here. And I'm not sick of that. Said something about this 2 minutes time. And good morning, Commissioner. Good morning. I have Community Development and Health Services Committee, the corners. Is the corner here yet?
I moved that.
Second?
Okay, it's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, come on, Dr. Hamilton with Department of Community Service.
I'll move items 1, 2, 3.
Okay, can I get out of there? Then first and second, all in favor, say aye. Okay, Dr. Hamilton, you can have a seat.
You all had asked that we bring the Birmingham Urban League
Okay.
to give an overview of the ERAP program, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Barnes and his staff to come and give that presentation.
Here.
Good morning,
They got
everybody.
plenty of self.
Commission President. Sure. I'm sorry, man. I don't.
Sheila. Item 1 under youth detention, pulling.
I'll give you a few moments to get the document. I think I've got about 20 of those. So I'll try to be as brief as I see you guys going through the agenda, unless you have questions, and we can certainly have any dialogue you'd like to have. My name is William Barnes, and I serve as the President and CEO of the Birmingham Urban League. And let me start by thanking the Commission for the work that you have done in providing for the citizens of Jefferson County. We're going to get into a presentation that really will share the impact that the funds for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program has provided. And I can't tell you, when we see people come through our doors every day, how blessed that we are to be able to be a part of helping the citizens. We started back in 2021 with this program. And let me remind you of the beginning relationship of the Urban League. We actually started a relationship with Jefferson County back in early 2020 with the HSP program. Some of you may remember that. That was a housing program that came out of the CARES Act. Our initial conversation was about $150,000 to the agency, and that grew to about $2 million through that program in services. You had several other agencies at the table at the time. We had partnerships with JCCEO as well as Salvation Army. And we were at the table with the initial housing space. We became the workhorse or the main agency because other agencies decided to either do other things, and unfortunately with JCCEO we know that we had some issues as it relates to that. And so what you'll have is a presentation. We'll go through this fairly briefly. In this presentation, it really is going to give you an overview of the Urban League, what our actual processes and departments are. It's only about 12 pages, so we'll get through this fairly quickly. And so if you'll turn to page 3, you'll have the departments of the ERAP program. And this is going to give you an idea of four blue boxes there with the background. Give you an idea of what our basic program. You know, when the pandemic started, the Urban League was out probably about 30 to 60 days out of the office. Many organizations, many corporations were staying away from the office. But the Urban League is a first responder, an economic first responder. When you go back to the housing bust of 2008, we find ourselves once again called upon. And so when you think about financial services and making sure that we help folks kind of recover from issues, the Urban League has always been in that mix. And so when we first started with the pandemic and our response, we actually started in food services. And I know you all are very, very familiar with the fact that we had a lot of folks distributing boxes of food. And so the board and I got together and we thought about, well, what are the most critical needs of how we can respond to our communities? Everybody got into the game, if you will, of giving food. So we felt like that it was something else that we needed to do and another calling for our agency. And so the board voted to actually flip our services, our entire organization, and flip it to the most critical need. And that was, at the end of the day, no family should worry about where they're laying their heads at night. So we got into the business of housing. And so that's where we really feel like we've been able to be successful, because the entire organization has really just focused on the housing component. And so we grew from that $150,000 that we talked about to upwards of $25 million that we are today. And I think it's a testament to certainly the Community Development Department working alongside with my staff, that we have the opportunity from now until 2025 to probably put close to $100 million into Jefferson County and helping the residents here. And so that's a testament to, I just think, the dedication and hard work and really just identifying the continued needs. And so if you look at the slide that I just mentioned to you, we have 4 departments with eligibility. Is when a client comes in. Then once they're eligible, they'll move to our case management team. Once our case management team has worked that client to ensure that we have all the documentations and that they're eligible for this aid, then we go through an audit process. And after the audit process, certainly we then verify all of the information, and then we finally end with finance with actually cutting the checks to individuals. Flip to the next page. This is our timeline, and there have been questions about our service in terms of how long does it really take individuals to get through the program. And I'll have to say that it really depends in part on the client. You know, you got to imagine that this is a federal program, and so there are a lot of resources and a lot of documentation when we first started the program that you had to have. The most important element to note is that you had to be able to show that you were impacted by COVID. And so when we looked at that and all the information that was required as it relates to COVID and the income requirements around it, there's a lot of documentation that the federal guidelines required that we have. And so sometimes those that were very responsive and had all their information together, it was fairly easy to get them through. Those were the 30-day clients. We had some that we had landlord issues with because the landlords had to provide a part of that information. And so if they were unwilling or they were delayed, then that could have delayed the process. And so really clients could be moved through our system in the initial phases from 30 to 90 days. We still maintain that that's relatively the same. However, with the implementation, and we'll talk about shortly, of the Neighborly software program, once it becomes fully online, we kind of iron out all the little kinks and things of the software program, my staff has told me we can actually work clients in a matter of hours now. That depends on how overwhelmed we are with the number of applications, but it really is going to bring about, I think, an enhancement to what we have. So our timeline, again, what this slide just represents is that it typically takes 30 to 90 days to work a client through. You know, you may ask the question, well, what happens if someone is threatened of eviction or someone has an issue with their power or the water being turned off? And fortunately, we formalized and had some great relationships with the local power companies, with all the utilities where we can pledge, which gives us time. We typically can do a 30-day pledge on a client if we know they're about to be turned off. If we do that pledge, then it typically kind of gives us about 30 days to try to work through that client's issue, getting all their paperwork, determining if they're eligible. And so I think that's a huge help in just the relationship that we built. Now, early on, we had some utility companies that would allow us to pledge multiple times, right? And so that means we could actually get up to 60 days in some instances. I think that they felt the crunch of income as it comes through, at least that's what they told us. And so they then kind of squeezed it and said, we're only going to do one pledge in many cases, which means we had about 30 days before that customer faced utility or eviction. Consequently, on the eviction side, we began to build relationships with a lot of your larger landlords and rental companies, and they became comfortable with the Urban League and the county's program in terms of being able to administer these funds. And so the same thing occurred with our landlords, is that where they may have initially decided they were going to evict clients, that now they were willing to give us a little bit more time. And then we developed a relationship with the sheriff's office. And so we knew that there was a client or the sheriff was about to go and knock on the door and put someone out, and we deemed them eligible and said, hey, look, we feel like we can get this check out. Then they were able to stop that. And so I can tell you there's a lot of moving parts with, at the end of the day, the whole purpose was to be sure folks didn't become homeless. And so then we began with the courts, and now we're working with the judges in each one of these courts, and they're giving us stay after stay after stay. But eventually, you know, if you get to a certain point, then they got to move forward because they got to be sure they're fair to those landlords and business owners. If you turn to your next slide, which is about the money, right? So is this slide here? It has 3 bars on it, and it shows you that the work that was done between June 2021 and May 2022. The Urban League, in partnership with the Community Development Department, we administered $14 million total in that time frame. $14 million. And I got to tell you, listen, if you just take a moment to really think about who the makeup of these individuals are. These are just not folks that are poor. These are folks that were making 6-figure salaries that lost their jobs. These were small business owners that weren't able to both pay their rent in wherever they were living and also pay their expenses as it relates to their small business. And so this aid essentially goes back into Jefferson County, almost every single dollar that you're looking at. And so again, when you think about the normal makeup, we had people that had never received aid before because they had never faced this type of downturn coming to us and wanting this help and support. And so that, to me, was an extreme feat of being able to produce more than $14 million in the community from June 21st through May 2022.
Could I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So for those folks that had a small business or they just lost their job, is there anything that you guys do, or Doc Hamilton, is there anything that's done for those folks that, you know, if they need to be upskilled or need job training or anything else like that, or need small business support? Do you guys do anything, or is that another program?
You led me into an infomercial of the Urban League, right? So one of the things we did before we were doing it is wraparound services. That's what we do. And let me just tell you just a real quick clip. So the Urban League's been around 112 years. We've been in Birmingham and Jefferson County for 55 of that 112 years. And our claim to fame is exactly that, whether it be job placement, whether it be entrepreneurship. We are the only SBA community navigator program in Central Alabama. And so there's a lot of wraparound services, which is why when we talk with Justin and our initial county manager time with Tony, they kind of looked at the profile of the Urban League and understood that it was more than just about these ERAP dollars. It was about those clients that were coming in and our ability to provide additional wraparound services. So yes, we still do all those services. We become more robust in the small business space, but certainly work in that job space as well as education and really advocate, and we continue to advocate for these dollars to come down the pipeline. So thank you for the question.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes, sir.
what percentage goes to your small business bailout or whatever?
Well, it's not a bailout, Commissioner. So when I mention small business, we're talking about the profile of the clients. Okay, so let me maybe explain this a little bit further. We don't identify individuals initially whether they are small business. If people come in and they qualify, they're telling us that they need help with their rent assistance. It's through the application that we establish what type of, how they're getting their income. Okay, and so what I mean by helping small businesses, we had small business owners that we were able to identify through their application that said, hey, I lost my business, I don't have any income, so that qualifies me for the program. And so we were able to tick that down and say, okay, this helps a small business. In other cases, we may have had a small business that didn't close their doors, but they're saying, hey, I got to determine whether I got to pay, home or close my business. If you can help me with my home, then I can continue to operate my business. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Let me ask, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So let me ask this question also, and I do thank you for coming this morning. I think this information is very critical moving forward, because I'm hearing that we may have some additional dollars coming down, and that would be great. That being said, Can you explain about, there seemed to have been some sort of breakdown as relates to when we were sending folk to you all, and then there was that window of time that seemingly went unanswered, and I know that came up here. Can you kind of explain that?
Absolutely, Commissioner. So if you, it's in our presentation just a tad bit. If you flip 2 more pages over, it talks about the timeline. It's labeled timeline. I'm sorry we didn't have this number. It's called timeline of ERAP enhancements.
Okay.
Timeline of ERAP enhancements. And so what we experience is that the reason that the report that I have stops at June of 2022 is because we closed the program down on June 30th, and we were not taking any more new applications. Okay, so that means that no more new applications from June, and that continued on until about October of 2022. So from June to October, no new applications were being taken. So we did have several folks that were certainly still wanting that aid and support. What we were doing during that time is that we still had a number of in-house clients that we continued to work at that point in time. Additionally, the reason that we shut the program down is because we were bringing on a new software program. So we had to do give us time for data migration. And so that was a pretty tough time for us because we were doing data migration. We were also helping those clients that were in-house, and then we had to tell folks, unfortunately, we can't take new applications at this point in time. But we look forward to, and the county has certainly made sure that people understood that you all were still putting funds in place, but we had to get a new system online in order to continue to service clients. And so we didn't bring that system back up, so we stopped around June 30th, and the system came up classic week. So October 29th or 30th is when the system actually came back online.
So let me ask you this, Cal. Is that a part of that software we were talking about for Will Bryan in terms of, that the system that they had that needed to kind of be changed? Or were you all a part of that? Is that what you're referring to when you said data software system?
Right. So Neighborly, we were not using Neighborly before that. Okay. So we were using, as a matter of fact, we built this program from the ground up with assistance from the Community Development Department for Jefferson County. But prior to that, we weren't using any type of centralized software program. And so, yes, it was Neighborly. I think there was a decision of the county to decide they wanted to do for Neighborly. And it may be because of some additional compliance issues and things of that sort. But essentially, that was a program that came online.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I think for me, I can't speak for anyone else, that probably some of the outlying questions that I had Dr. Hamilton, I have been sending a lot of folk his way, but we get calls about particularly the Urban League, since it has been publicly known that you all are handling dollars on behalf of the county. And so, I think that this what we have today kind of gives us at least something in writing and tangible that we can say that we are acting responsibly. I just wanted you to kind of go over and clarify that timeline where we had a little breakdown and let us know what that was all about. Right. Because other than that, you tend to look at the agency, because you are not Mr. Barnes, the agency. You represent an agency. So I just wanted to know what was the breakdown of the agency. Okay.
And thank you for that. I mean, that's an extremely important point. I hope the commission really understand, and I'm sure you all have had experience of dealing with software implementation. So you had clients that just got caught up in that migration of data, as well as just a conversion to another system.
Okay. Thank you.
There was a lot of issues as it relates during that time. But we kind of now climb the hill on that. We still are working through. Anytime you do software implementation, you've got enhancements, you've got things you've got to work out and iron out with the developers, and so we begin to move beyond those issues so that we can continue to serve the clients. I'll end on this note as it relates to the software program. I do believe that once the software becomes fully functional and we kind of iron out all the issues, it will absolutely enhance our ability to serve the citizens of Jefferson County.
Well, so I'm kind of hearing at the table about the time, but I just wanted you to know that how much I really appreciate the work that you all are doing, especially now that I have this right here, because again, when we have citizens that want to be able to be serviced, and then you know exactly what you're doing, how you all are going about doing it. Only one thing I will say in the essence of time, if you can provide each commissioner some sort of hotline, so to speak, that when they can't reach certain people within your organization, that here's another person that you can reach, so that we're trying to keep this thing going. And lastly, you don't have to answer, but something that I'd like for you to come back and share with us. We are looking for these funds to go to 2025. Is that correct, Mr. President? In the 2025?
I'm not aware of that. I think that
No,
it does.
yeah, it is, isn't it? That's what we voted on.
That's correct.
Okay, and so kind of what your
Well, they have to be, are they in that window of appropriation by end of 24? Or is this something that continues
You
beyond
got two
that?
funds have to be expended by 2025.
Yeah, so I thought that's what we just recently voted on a couple of months ago. So what I would,
For end of 24.
so what I would like to know is that if we could kind of get an overview, so to speak, of how the agency will help us to respond to Jefferson County residents, over that period of time, so that then we too can be we can manage our own expectations.
Absolutely.
That make sense?
Absolutely. And I hear that we're on time, so I'll make two more points and I'll have a seat if there's any other questions. So we've made significant investments, you'll see, in response to the additional dollars, which includes a call center. It's in your packet as well.
Okay.
Additional data specialists, more accountants that are coming online. And so that we've also grown with the program. You have some upwards of 25 to 30 employees that are dedicated just to this program. And so we'll continue to grow. And then the last point that you made, Commissioner, on the very last page, I believe you will find information that is to be used for commissioners and your staff of individuals that you can directly contact with any issues that you have. This is reaching the highest level of leadership with the Urban League. Any one of those emails you can use, and we'll be very responsive to your concerns. Any questions?
Okay. I was just going to say, if you
Oh, I was just kind of, do you have a ballpark of how many people you've been able to serve?
Yes, sir. So to date, the program has served 25.9 million, right? And so that's about
People.
3,000. That's $29.9 million.
Okay.
And that's 2,900 households, which our internal research says that's about 9,000 individuals across the county.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Two questions. One was that it looks like it's about $8,300 per household.
Yes, sir.
And
Now that was under from that period of time.
That's from what I see right
Yes,
here.
sir. Yes, sir.
Which is significant. It makes a difference. So you're going to pay the rent for how many months?
The new program will let us pay up to 18 months.
Up to 18 months.
Now that includes rearage, right? So you got to
Right.
count if they're behind, and then we can pay some futuristic payments if they qualify.
And utilities,
Same thing.
same thing.
Yes, sir.
So you're looking at 18-month window there.
That's correct.
So once they apply and are approved for this, can they go back?
Not after they reach their limit. So
All right,
sometimes
so
people.
tell me what is the limit?
So when I say the limit is 18 months, so let me be very concise. Most of our clients may come in and say that they're 3 months behind, and then we pay 3 months into the future. That's 6 months. They can then, if you take the 6 months from the 18 months, they have
A year
12
to go.
additional months up to that 18-month period that they can come back and apply. So we do have repeat individuals. However, as an agency, we're certainly working to try to get them to a better
Right, come on
position.
their feet.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So we're not just giving the money out. Our wraparound services allow us to help those clients and identify those issues.
One more question. How much are your administrative costs to get this program done? I see a lot of employees.
Yeah, so I don't have a dollar figure. I can tell you this: we've been super efficient to where we've had administrative dollars left on the table. And I'm glad you brought the point up, because there's some misconception in the public. I know you all get it, but I think it's important to share this. I think the approval was about 12% administrative. That's not a fee. That's a reimbursable amount. So we have to expense that up front before we get it back. So we're not necessarily making money on our bottom line.
Oh,
we're
no.
just providing the service.
I was just wondering what.
So
what
I
it
can
costs
give you I can give you an idea
for-
from economic impact. I want to say that we submitted a budget of about 1.9 for the new 20 million that's coming in. So that's serving a lot of, and again, that's coming back to the community. We look at that as a economic impact. So if you look at 1.9 million in salaries that are then spent in Jefferson County, it kind of all just circulates back into the county, and it's good for business for Jefferson County.
I want to mention two commissioners. I think we just voted last commission meeting to reallocate some of the administrative costs they did not spend.
And they can only go up to 12%.
Well, I'm satisfied. I just checking to see.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, because I was going to say, I think in that 12% was split in some kind of way? Or is that you all actually receiving, were we talking about 15% and then they get, right, and then they get 12 of the 15?
We don't get 15. Some of those were split with the county and depending on the needs.
Yeah.
So if you all provide any services, and certainly the Community Development Department works on this program as well. So the county is also receiving a portion of that administrative.
So truly, if we're looking at actual, then you all are not getting 12%.
No.
It's
No.
12%.
We've been operating, if you look at our funding, which is what was just mentioned, we've operated this program well under the administrative budget.
No, it just sounds to me that
Yeah, we're not
you all
getting
are
that.
splitting this 12%. Is that what I'm hearing?
We're getting a small portion. That's
You're getting a portion of
We're getting a portion
it,
for-
but if you had to say, on average, what is the percentage out of the 12% community development receives?
about less than 2%.
Okay, so you're still only looking at about 10%, is that what I'm hearing?
Right, and then that's if we expense that.
Right.
If we don't expense it, we don't get it.
Because it's a reimbursement.
Yeah, because it sounds like this is a performance type of agreement, so you all put the money up front, and then we come back, and if you can show that you, Cal, have spent it, then therefore you all are then properly reimbursed from community development, is that right?
I'd like to slightly change. I wish it was performance, because performance would say we would get the fee if we performed on the grant, not as a reimbursement. That would absolutely help the agency, because then that's, if you're talking business, it hits our bottom line. This is not a bottom line situation. This is, if we spend $300,000 in cost to administer this program, then we then can reimburse for that. So we have to actually go out and fundraise to do some other stuff to be sure that we supplement.
Then we
the
might
program.
need to look at it becoming a performance agreement, not for this conversation right now, but maybe that's what we need to look at, because if they're having to put the money up front, what happens when you don't have the money to expend up front, even though you're going to be reimbursed?
Right, and that's been my main point, that I had been talking about, that this is a reimbursement. So we have to be careful with words when we say the percentage that they receive, because they are not receiving 12%. That's the very reason United Way didn't want it, because the percentage was too low. And barely, Salvation Army barely wanted it, for the same reason, along with all the other agencies that's regular people that really pay people bills and stuff. That's the reason that they didn't want it. The Urban League is actually performing. They're not even getting a performance fee, because if they did, it would be 12% and above, because they are performing in nationwide in the top 2. So they would get way more than that. So we have to be careful with words with bailout and all that. There ain't none of that going on around here.
But you're still gonna have to expense it to comply with the ARPA guidelines.
Right.
But we
So I'm gonna try to stay in my lane as much as I can. You have the ability. You have submitted grants or contracts for data migration that was due to the service of data migration, not as a reimbursement, but due to the service thereof. So you're correct that the dollars of ARPA, of the ERAP program, can only be spent in a reimbursable way. The county certainly can look at just straight out contracts for performance, because you're doing it as a part that's connected to this program with the data migration that occurred. That wasn't a reimbursable grant. That was paid a company to do the data migration for this project. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes. We have District Attorney Office, Danny Carr, 5% increase for be appointed,
Move.
Second.
okay, it's been first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm pulling you attention. I have, some community grants, I have 6,
Move items
Add
1 through
one.
6.
I'd like to add to one, please.
okay?
On item 6, I'd like to add $5,000.
Hang on, let me get over there. Well,
You're adding 5,
I'm gonna add 5.
okay?
Which one are you doing?
Number 6,
Six.
consumer financial education.
So that'll be 15,000 altogether
I wanna do 2,500 on the coach safely.
on 6,
5.
on 5.
We already done
Yeah.
We already did
We've done
that.
that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Coach safely. we-
Yeah, I think you
already
tagged on,
did.
I think you've already done it.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm just adding, he's coming in now on that.
Because I had to get a list of schools.
All right, good deal.
Taking that's from 5, so it's 6, it's 15,000 altogether. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's the end of my report. And I want to thank y'all so much for listening to the presentation earlier.
All right. Commissioner Scale.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have Public Works, Community Services, Intergovernmental Relations Committee. We have no items for Board of Equalization, no Environmental Services. We do have Human Resources. We have one item, which is Chief Human Resource Officer. And the candidate, my understanding, according to this, is Melody Banks to serve as Director of Human Resources. Do we have any questions as relates to Ms. Banks?
Move the item.
Seeing none, we have a move. All right, and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. No compliance office personnel board items. We do have items 1 and 2. Are there any questions as relates to either of those items? Seeing none, do we have a move on the floor?
I'll move 1 and 2.
All right. Has been moved. Second. Has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
County Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Everything's good. We have our meeting Thursday in Bessemer. And then we go back to a luncheon meeting with the legislators at the Glen Iris Room at D Club at 11:30. We're going to talk with them about our legislative agenda and the issues that will be before them this legislative session, and get to know some of our legislators that are new. And we remind the commission how closely we worked with the legislation and the legislators since we've been in office, and we want to continue that. And they raise money for us to spend wisely. And through that process, we have Travis is going to give the sources and use of the funds statement that we've done. I think I gave it last time, but I think Travis is going to do it this time, where all of our taxes come from and where they go, in what particular area and what particular department. And just get together and get to know our legislators. And there's some new ones, some people that we may have met on the campaign trail, but they were good politicians. Now we need to determine what kind of legislators they are. So, and that's part of it. So we look forward. Is there any commissioner that's not going to be able to attend? Good. Look forward to seeing everyone.
We're in the regular courtroom, right? We've moved around a couple times. We're in
Judge Hopkins.
Judge Hopkins.
upstairs.
Upstairs. When are we gonna move back?
To be determined.
TBD.
Mr. President, let me ask this too. Mr. President, let me ask this question. We did talk about us getting together on some things we'd like for them to look at. Are we going to be doing that on Thursday?
That's part of it.
Very good.
All right, Cal. All right, we have Crisis Center, ribbon cutting, 10 o'clock. Remind the commission and staff that we have an invitation. The governor will be there. We received our invitation from the sheriff, and we moved this committee meeting in order that the entire commission should be there.
We said that very much. Senator Wagner will be speaking as well. Sheriff will be speaking also. Several other folks.
We look forward to it. Any other business? Meeting's adjourned.
Is that good time or outside?
Good timing there, Michael.
I
Which one?